Hello, my name is Marco Nanninga, and I would like to run you through setting up shifts and shift schedules in Inspect. So before we run through the exercise, let me show you where you can find the relevant information. If you go to atshelp.com and Inspect 6.4, at least for the current version, if you go to Cockpit and then Shifts and Crews, here it's explained in detail how you can set up your shifts and your crews. So that would be good to use for future reference. For this training exercise, we will be using the example data that we've used before. So we'll be setting up 3 shifts, a day shift, evening shift, and a night shift. And we'll be setting up the schedules for these shifts, where the night shift starts before midnight and goes after midnight. So we'll also talk about how you can assign data for reporting to either the next day or the previous day, based on how you want to see the data in reporting. So we'll need to go into Cockpit to shifts, and we'll have to add the 3 shifts. So the day, I'm just using tab to go from description to code, and then I'm pressing enter to save my new entry. Evening and E, night and N, and then to close the screen I can press escape twice, or once is actually enough already. Sometimes you need to do it twice, and that gives us our shifts. Then if we go to schedules, we can actually create the schedule or schedules, but in this case we will create one schedule which we will call the default schedule, which we will assign to all areas. So if you have a facility where there are different schedules for different areas of the facility, of the plant, then you can add multiple schedules and assign them to the applicable areas. If you are going to change your shift times and you know that in advance, then you can set an end date for your existing schedule and a begin date for the new one, so that it automatically uses the new shift times when such a change is needed. And then in the actual shift times tab, you can set up the times for the shifts for the current schedule that we are setting up. So if I click on this edit icon on the pencil, I can modify my shift times. I can add new entries. So I can add a shift, the day shift, which is starting at 6 in the morning and goes until 2 p.m. My system here is on a 24-hour format, so for me that's 1400 hours. Then I will add my evening shift starting at 1400 and going until 10 p.m., 2200. As is shown here in the example data here in the Excel. And now we're going to set up the night shift, which, as you can see, is actually 2 entries. One is before midnight and the other one is after midnight. So I'm starting at 10 until midnight. And this one, I can choose if the data has to be assigned to previous day, same day, next day. And here's where I can actually use it. For the previous 2 entries, I didn't use this because it wasn't going past midnight, so it wasn't applicable. But here I can set this section of the night shift to assign the data to the next day. And I'm doing that because from the night shift, which is an 8-hour shift, only 2 hours on this side of midnight, and the remaining 6 hours are after midnight. So I'm going to assign the data to the day where the majority of the shift time is, which is going to be here. And that is affecting some of the reports. So we have reports where you can look at the data for a specific shift or use a parameter to see data for a specific shift. And if you set it up like this, where you set one section to transfer the data to the next day for reporting, it means that, for example, if I run a report for March 18 for the night shift, it is going to show me the data from midnight till 6 a.m. Of the data entered for that night shift, and it will include the data from 10 p.m. till midnight from the day before, because this is pushing the data to the next day. So it just depends how you want to see the data. If you just want to see the data based on the actual date where the data was entered, and you don't want to tie your shifts together so that you have one continuous shift, then you can do that as well. But this is just an option we have to factory reporting if you want. So in the example, we are going to do that. We're going to do next day for the first part, and then for the second part, from midnight till 6, it's going to be same day. And then you have an option here to automatically fix gaps and overlaps. So if there are any gaps in the schedule or overlaps, if you check this mark, it's going to fix it. For me, it was all sorted and it was filling up to 24 hours, so we didn't have to do anything there. And from here, if all of the days in the week use the same schedule, the same times, then what you can do is you can check all of the days and then copy the day that you have already set up. In this case, the Sunday, you can copy it to the other days. So that's just a bit of a time saver. It is important that you try to fill up all of the 24 hours. So even if you have, for example, a 1 or a 2 shift schedule that doesn't fill up the 24 hours, I would propose to add a shift named overtime or out of opening times, or anything that will tell you that it's outside of normal working hours, and just add that to fill up the 24 hours. The reason that is very important is that if the operators, for example, work late or start early, outside of the normal shift times, and there is no shift defined, that will mean that they will not be able to enter any data into data collect in the user interface. And that is because when a user is signed into inspect, into data collect, we of course know who it is based on the username, but we also store for reporting purposes to which shift that data should be assigned to. And if there is no active shift for that time, then no data entry is possible. So that's why it's important to always try to fill up the entire 24 hours. That's it. A short section. I hope that helps. And as I said, if you want to look for more information, there is a lot of explanation here about the shifts and the schedules, and also about the optional crews, which you can read up about here. But since that's completely optional, we will leave it out of this recording. So thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the next one.